Hi everyone, I'm Lauren from Shreve Memorial Library, and today I'm going to show you how to make this week's Grab and Go crafts. And this week we have two crafts to choose from, and one of these crafts is in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and it is an I Have a Dream sun catcher. So the only thing you'll need for this craft is some glue and some markers. So you'll receive this transparency sheet with a picture of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on it. So first you'll just color this. Okay, so I have this side colored with the markers, and you can color however much of the page you want. So now I'm going to turn it over and color the other side the same way. Okay, and then once you have both sides colored, you'll take some strips of paper, and this will be the frame, so you'll just glue it on the top, bottom, and both sides. So the last thing you'll do is take your piece of string, and you'll just glue it down to the top for your hanger. And once the glue is dried, you can just hang it in a sunny window, and you have your I Have a Dream dream catcher. If you'd like to learn more about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., you can check out My Dream of Martin Luther King by Faith Ringgold. And this is a story told from an imaginative and creative child's perspective through a dream. It discusses the history of Martin Luther King Jr. along with the Civil Rights Movement. Or you can check out My Daddy, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. by Martin Luther King III. And in this memoir, Martin Luther King Jr.'s son gives an intimate look at the man and the father behind the civil rights leader. Mr. King's remembrances show both his warm, loving family in a momentous time in American history. Or you could check out Martin's Big Words, The Life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. by Doreen Rappaport. And this award-winning picture book biography introduces young readers to the life of one of the world's most influential leaders. Starting with his childhood, Martin's Big Words is an exquisite portrait of a man whose dream changed the world forever. So our second craft this week is the Morse Code bracelet. And you may have heard of SOS, which is Morse Code, and it was a distress signal that people would use when they're in trouble with flashlights. And Morse code was invented by Samuel Morse, and it's one of the oldest forms of telecommunication. And it's just a sequence of long and short sounds, also known as dots and dashes. And it can be made using sound or light. So what you'll get is a cord and red, black, and white beads, and also a worksheet. And down here is where you'll put your beads. And we're going to spell out our first and last initial, and mine is LM. So you'll find the first and last initial on this chart, and you'll have dots and dashes. So I'm going to use the black for my dots and the red for my dashes, and then I'll have white beads for my spacer beads. So L is dot, dash, dot, dot. And M is dash, dash. Okay, and now take your cord, and you'll start by putting one spacer bead on your cord. And then I'll do the first initial. And after the first initial, put two more spacer beads, which are my white beads. And then my last initial. And then finally, one more spacer bead. And once you have all your beads on there, you can either tie it or glue it, but the easiest way is just to get a clear piece of tape and tape it together. And you have a Morse Code bracelet.